Hey everybody. Wasn't actually going to come out today, but this is not the thing that I thought would be the next thing I'd be uploading, because the plan changed a little bit. It's still the majority of what it is, but I'm not going to be able to do. You'll find out. I don't want to talk about it before it's happening, so that'll be, I assume, next week, assuming that I can assume properly with the editing and how it will go. So we'll see. But wildlife today, same as usual. Just had to grab some stuff, and this car setup is slightly changed and different, so I don't know how well it's going to work. That GoPro is shaking an awful lot from what I can see it. I don't think it's nearly as stable as I maybe thought it would be. And the mount is not what I thought it would be either, but that's not really the fault of that. Anyway, the usual spot over in Boulder. Just going to go watch some birds for a bit. I'm sure now that we are, I think, really into spring. I see a lot of green grass. Trees are blooming. That one there. We'll see. But that's going to be wildlife. We're going to go watch and see what we can see. I got the whole setup in a bag. Several bags in the back. You know. Let's go see what wildlife there is to see today.
You may or may not remember, but over a year ago, they closed this place in Boulder so that they could do construction on the pipes and things that were underneath. And then they opened it back up last year, and then they've closed it again. You may remember, but I forgot. So I went to drive into the usual location, which is completely closed, and now I've had to come over to the other side. And there's a bunch of cars here, I assume, because everybody's using it from this entrance now. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how crowded it is. We'll see what's happening, and hopefully I'll find a spot. My plan is completely changed, so I no longer have the idea in my head of like, I'm going right here, it's going to be fine, we'll just set up and do that. But sun's already up and going, so I don't know why the sun would be going, but we need to get going. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's just go see what we can see and enjoy the wildlife for what it is. All right. Okay. Better than I expected, to be honest with you. Things were going wrong today. I didn't prepare properly. I just threw things together. I mean, I kind of did, but obviously I forgot some smaller things, such as one of the tentacle syncs, which is how I get my audio from the nice audio recording setup with the multiple mics to the camera, and it's synced properly, because otherwise syncing is kind of a nightmare. You can't really come out and try to be quiet and observe wildlife and then have one of those clappers. And cut. You go ahead and do that again, bird. If you could make that call, we weren't rolling on the audio. It doesn't really work that way. So having one of those without be completely dead on battery, that's not great. But thankfully, because I have the battery bank essentially on the camera itself, I just plugged in a cable through that. It meant I couldn't plug into other ways. But anyway, that was once I got out here. The other thing was I rearranged all the bags and everything, and I swapped out the cameras for a different reason we'll talk about in the future. But why not? We can talk about it now. Why am I holding it? I didn't want to do it today, but the next thing that's coming out for sure will be shot on something different that I picked up. I did bring it today. I always wanted a white camera. That is so silly. It is not necessary, but when I started this YouTube channel and I started doing this stuff over 4 years ago, the idea was to get a camera dedicated to do vlog things, and I did, and then quickly found out that the one that I only spent a little bit on in comparison to other things didn't do all the things I wanted it to do. It couldn't really do, it could do, that was back when we first started. I was shooting 1080p, 60 frames per second, and I tried to do 4K it was like, okay, but the wildlife footage is 4K 60, so I can either take the 1080 and bump it up in post so it looks fine, or it just looks, like it's a 1080 video that's been stretched. It doesn't look quite great, and that bothers me. It probably shouldn't, but it is what it is. I can't help it. I do see that and go, this could be better quality, and I would prefer that. Anyway, I eventually gave up on that, as you probably know, because I don't use that camera anymore. It now is at home for the recording setup when I'm playing games, but I always wanted to do that, and I finally pulled the trigger, picked up that one. I think it'll do good. It will overheat at 4K 60, unfortunately, which is the downside to everything. But anyway, the point of that was that I have that now. I'm going to do that because the last time we made a change was last year, I think, 2024. Was it even back in 2023? I don't remember. I decided that I wanted to have the vlogs look better, and I wanted to show more and be doing more of the whole thing than what I'm supposed to be doing. And so I picked up that second Blackmagic camera. We talked about all of this, of the various cameras and for what purposes. This is just the newest one in, but I really recognize that that one does not, like that Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K and my 6K, which is what I use today, are great for so many things, especially capturing the landscape. Not a good vlog camera. Does not work. It's too heavy. I tried setting it up on that tripod with the gimbal. It just doesn't work. And it's not a good idea to do that. So I don't, in particular, but I will use this though. That was kind of the whole point of getting it. I will, and I'm excited to, but I didn't want to use it today to try to set the whole thing up. It'll be for next time. I had some trouble with some stuff in the car as well, which I talked about. I got out there, I realized I forgot. When I rearranged and did all that, I moved the mount off the bottom of the 4K, which means that I couldn't attach it to the tripod. So instead it just sat on the ground. But anyway, technical difficulties aside, with everything that happened, everything that was going wrong, the one thing that did go right was the wildlife. I saw pelicans, which I haven't seen let me make sure I'm saying it correctly. Grab my book here. Pretty sure that they are if I just keep saying do enough times, then okay, we'll flip to the back because I thought it would be right there in the front. Do, and then pelican, 110. Do. Because yeah, there's really only one kind. American white. That's what I knew it was a white pelican. I didn't remember if the word American was in it, because the brown pelican doesn't have that word in there. Even though, I mean, we do see it. I have seen both kinds. The American white pelican, they get that knob on their beak when it is breeding time. And boy, was it breeding time, I guess. I don't want to make it sound like that. They weren't out there doing that, but I guess there's no way on some of these to tell the males and the females, so I don't know, but it was a group of 5 of them. Does not dive for food, but dips bill into the water while swimming. That is what I saw. I saw behavior that I've not seen before, which was a group of 5 of them. I've seen huge flocks of them, especially in Wyoming. There's a large population there, which I did not ever consider. I always thought pelicans were going to be found by the sea, and that was it. But there actually was quite a group of them out there. There were 5 of them here doing something besides the usual preening or just kind of looking around. They had like a coordinated diving. They were fishing, and all 5 of them were almost like in a semicircle. They'd come around, and then together they'd all be diving down repeatedly to stir up the fish and to grab whatever they can. I don't think I actually caught them getting a fish at any point, but they definitely just did that. And they were very close because the pond that I was there, I set up by the edge of the water as close as I could get to it, which is pretty high up because it's a stiff cliff down to it. So it turns out it's actually the same size. I thought this place was much bigger. I knew that there were 2 entrances, but where I usually have been going and looking in that wildlife structure, the blind that's there, that I was on the other side of the same pond. I was watching where that structure was from the other side, so that was funny. But yes, watching there, watching the birds, and the pelicans especially that were down on the water, and they did loops basically of the entire pond, so sometimes they were further away, but when they were real close, it looked really cool. I'm really pleased with that. I've never seen that kind of behavior of them diving, so that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. I made a discovery. This is kind of unrelated, but since we've talked about 2 things already, that, we talked about the difficulties with the camera stuff and what I forgot, and what I didn't bring, and what I will fix for next time. I talked about what I've done here with this setup in the car, which also was not ideal. But then the other thing that I specifically found out was I thought about it after the fact. As I was walking back, I was stopped by someone. There was an older man who was out bird watching as well, had binoculars and everything, and was, did the usual. There weren't too many people until now. It's very crowded right now. But while I was out there, there really weren't that many people. But as I was walking back, and that's the appropriate time to stop. Don't come up to me and try to talk to me while I'm recording things. Thank you very much. That is what the earbuds are. The headphones are super great for deterring people who want to come up and have a conversation. But as does people in this, hobby, they want to talk to others, and that's fine. I get that. And he came up and, did quite an outfit you got there, and asked me what it is that I'm doing. And I explained the whole thing with the pelicans, like I just talked about, and all that stuff. He's like, okay, so do you post on this? I was like, no, I don't really use that, but I do put it on YouTube. Where do I find you on YouTube? And in the same thing that's been happening for more than 5 years now, ran through my head of, all right, do I try to explain the full thing to this older man? Who typically, that's a lot. It's mostly older people who might not be as technologically, but it's also just a stupid thing to explain anyway. And go, this doesn't, fully line up with. It's just a word that I came up with. It's annoying, the whole thing anyway. I try to fix it, but what I did was I just told him my name. Which is the reason that the whole thing, I don't care much about it, but the whole thing, I'm actually going to get going because there's enough people here that are trying to park and whatnot, but the entire point of it is that what am I going to tell them? Well, Michael Ward is my name, but there's enough Michael Wards out there doing photography that it's not exactly easy to find. And there's quite a famous Michael Ward photographer if you go look on Google. Who do that kind of thing. So it's not exactly the easiest thing to immediately, thank you, direct someone there. And so obviously you tell them the username I came up with all the time ago, and go, okay, well you say coiffed, but it's spelled like this, and it just gets kind of messy and complicated and not really great, right? I found out. After thinking about it, I just told him, I said, look me up on, if you're interested, after explaining what it was. And he said, I definitely want to check that out. I said, you can go on YouTube and you can type it up. Why do you always start playing music immediately? Thank you. You could just go on YouTube. I just told him that and walked away from, I said, go on YouTube and just type in Michael Ward and you'll find me. And, no, it's not. It's fine. Don't give me that. Stupid thing. Stupid thing. A camera that just came down off the mount. That's not what I meant for it to do anyway. There. Is that back? Anyway. I've walked away from that conversation thinking there's no way he'll ever find me, and that's fine. I've had several of those instances of people going, oh, I'm interested, and I go, that's fine, you look, if you want to, and I tell them, what to look for and something like that, and I never hear anything else from them, and that's what I expect, and that's perfectly fine. But I did think about it, and I told him that, and I walked away being like, there's no chance. I needed to tell him the website, and I just didn't want to start explaining it. I've done that before when talking to people. I've specifically been like, go on Google, type in QWOFT. But the discovery I made after that, when I load everything in the car and I grab my phone, I went, out of curiosity, what happens if you go on YouTube and you type in Michael Ward wildlife photography? And the top 2 results before it just gives up on the Michael Ward part and starts going for wildlife photography are actually my videos. So, there we go. I'll start telling people that then. I made a discovery. I don't even have to worry about it, because that's been a sticking point in my head of like, I should just get rid of that. I should just change the name, change the website, give up on it, everything like that. No, I don't have to. But I do have to figure out why all of a sudden this camera in the car, the dash cam, just in case anything happens, is starting to give me trouble. Because it certainly didn't do that before, and it is doing it now, and I don't understand. Anyway, I'm going to go. It was great. I saw the pelicans. Everything was fine. I'm going to go home now. Bye, everybody. Next time is something different for sure, promise, unlike the last time I said that.